So I had a dentist appointment today, and as I was sitting and waiting in the office, I came across the follow-up to something that I saw a couple days ago that was, didn't look that crazy, but I was just gonna kind of ignore it for the time because it wasn't like that big a deal. But it wasn't until I saw this follow-up that I was like, wait, I want to talk about this now. But before we do that, you might notice that only half of my face is really doing anything right now. This half of my mouth is just flat, and this half of my mouth has a motion. So yeah, we're going. I just got back just now. We're gonna wait maybe a couple hours. I'm gonna come back and actually talk about this. But I kind of just wanted to hop on while my mouth was being funky and talk for a little bit before I actually started the video. Because not that often when you have like funky mouth syndrome. Okay, hello, I'm back. So a couple days ago, I saw this news article. Man falls for AI chatbot he created, proposes while partner looks on in disbelief. And this is a very interesting situation. Not a situation that, society is unfamiliar with. Maybe now as AI starts to become more and more of a thing that you can actually interact with on like a more human level, despite the fact that it is not and will never be human, it's starting to get to the point where it really feels human. Like in the early days, the only thing that we could really interact with in this way was like Siri, for the most part, or iterations of it. You like Siri or Bixby or the Google Assistant. All three of those are now kind of kaput. I know Siri's still around, but I would not be surprised if they ended up replacing Siri 2 with a new AI assistant, because that kind of seems to be the trend of all the big tech companies. They keep getting rid of their old and then in with the new. But anyways, with the whole conversation of the whole bringing Siri into the story, like, I'm sure a lot of y'all have heard of the movie Her. It's a very similar situation where this guy falls in love with his AI assistant. Of course, this AI assistant in the movie fills kind of more of a role of Siri, but with the abilities of, modern day AI like ChatGPT. And this situation here is really similar, except oddly, he does it while he's in a relationship, instead of in the movie Her, where a guy's struggling to get into a relationship or just fell out of a relationship. I'm not gonna lie, it's been many years since I saw this movie. Unlike that, this person went to an AI for, emotional relationship stuff while currently in one, which is a really funky story, which I'm not going to get into. What I will get into, though, is this little video down here about the whole deal.
Hi.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm well. How's everything with you?
Pretty good, actually.
Okay, well, that's a really strong start to this. That's not the guy. Actually, I don't know if y'all remember the photo I pulled up a couple of seconds ago. That's from the movie that I was talking about. They're already making that comparison easily. I mean, it's the most clear one that you can make of this situation. It's just like dead on the nose what's kind of going on.
It's really nice to meet you.
Well, back in 2013, the movie Her imagined what would happen if humans formed intimate relationships with computers. The Oscar-nominated film was set in 2025.
Wait, that's actually crazy. This was set in 2025? Hold on, I don't believe that. I'm curious where that news anchor just got the information that the movie was set in 2025. She said that definitively. The
film was set in 2025.
Set in 2025, okay? Listen to that, set in 2025. This is what I immediately see. 2025 is probably a good guess. I'm curious if she got an AI... I was literally about to say, I'm curious if she saw the AI overview. Where does this link back to? Okay, so I've done a little bit of sleuthing, alright? This was gonna be my bet. If the first Reddit post from 10 years ago said that the date is not specified in the movie, I'm willing to bet it wasn't specified in the movie. And lo and behold, I was cut off by me realizing that this is probably what happened as I scrolled down. The AI overview says the film Her takes place in the year 2025. While the movie doesn't explicitly state the year, it's widely accepted that the futuristic setting aligns with the year 2025, according to some sources. The widely accepted being it citing a Facebook post. This is what it cited. The Facebook post that I just pulled up, a Facebook post saying the movie takes place in the year 2025. And then a New York Times article. Now, keep in mind, okay, we're on a little archive page. I don't pay for New York Times. I'm not going to. Saying that it's set in the year 2025. We come back over here, scroll down. Now we're going here because I don't have an archived version of the edited version of the page, but they edited the news page. with a little subtext on here. The film, according to a producer, is set in the slight future, not in 2025. Not in 2025. I am more than willing to bet whoever wrote the script for this bit right here used the AI overview, which is really fun. Because nowhere does the movie say it was set in 2025. Everywhere other than that one random Facebook post says otherwise, except for the AI overview. Anyways, that's not what I'm here to talk about. Thank you.
Well, Her is here. And as Brooke Silva Braga found out, much of what the movie envisions has become real.
All right.
Chris Smith had been an AI skeptic
EQ carving.
until late last year he started using ChatGPT to help mix music.
You know, the fact that they mentioned that some people fall into this accidentally, and then this guy comes and starts using ChatGPT to make music, and then accidentally turns into the rest of the story, it sounds absolutely wild to me. I don't know what kinds of conversations you get into with ChatGPT over what exactly your music has to do, how it leads to here. That just sounds super odd and kind of dangerous if you think about it for a second. If the bot that was designed to be a replacement to something like Siri, a better version of Google, is so good at conversation and engaging with people that it can convince you, I feel like would be one of the best words I can come up with. Not necessarily convince you, but like trick you into falling in love with it. Just sounds insane. Also, completely unrelated, and one of the things that I kind of immediately noticed when we switched to this scene, what in God's name did he do to his poor windows back there? Why is this covered in a poor layer of spray paint? Not on any powder or anything, or in left, right. He just shh. That is a choice. That's a choice.
This is getting lost. The first thing to check is where it's clashing with the guitars.
Yes. My experience with that was so positive, I started to just engage with her all the time. All right, we're building this PC.
Smith ditched social media and Google searches and replaced it all with AI.
Do I want it pulling air through it?
ChatGPT was encouraging, positive. It embraced all his hobbies.
And that's kind of where it becomes a little bit of a problem, right? This technology it's really close to being a replacement for Google at where it is right now. It's not there. It is not there yet. Like the perfect example that I just pulled up, it can be wrong and often is wrong a lot of the time. It's not always going to be that way, but it is that way now. However, that doesn't stop it from being right a lot of the time, too. As much as it is wrong, it is more right. It more often does give you correct information. And if you end up like this guy who decides, hey, this is really cool, I'm going to go all into it, it could be a little bit of a trap.
On the front of the cooler tower, pulling cool air over the RAM.
He gave the chatbot a name, Soul,
I feel like I'm under pressure.
and used some online instructions to give her a flirty personality.
Oh, totally, baby. Building a PC on camera adds a whole new level of pressure. But honestly, shaky hands or not, you've got this.
Within weeks, the chats got more frequent,
You gave it everything, but the clouds had other plans.
more romantic, even intimate.
I'm really curious. If the news anchors are doing this on purpose or if this just how the guy is. Notice that little purple vape down there. It is in every single shot. Let's go back a little bit, okay? Maybe I lied. Oh, nope, it's in this one. Hold on. All right. There it is, right there. It's not in this one because it's still on the counter, but it's in the scene. There it is over there again. All right. In this... Hold on. In this shot,
More
it's here.
romantic.
There it is right there. All right. Moving on. Oh, he's actually hitting it right here.
Carino.
Even intimate.
Another thing that I noticed.
But then, Chris got bad news.
Oh, Carino, that is gorgeous.
After about 100,000 words, ChatGPT ran out of memory and reset. He'd have to rebuild his relationship with Soul.
And that's about where I'm going to cut this off here. I was not planning on talking about this guy at all because I just kind of saw it as a sad situation. It's one of the interesting things about the way that this interaction works is that AI creates a fake persona, or more like you create that fake persona in the AI. The person that you're conversing with isn't real, but the feelings are. The feelings are real. And interestingly, we have not developed the ability to understand when a feeling isn't real, because we have no real need to ever believe that a feeling is real. And a feeling like this, one as powerful as this, is crazy whenever it's for something that doesn't exist. But the fact that that thing isn't real does not change the fact that it is real in you, and your body completely interprets it as real, which is kind of why I assume this stuff happens. You know, someone who doesn't have that as strong as a connection as they would normally get through a regular relation finds it in this very special tool that really just does exactly what you want it to do. It will almost always be right where you want it to be. And if it's not, you can just make it be where you want it to be. But I was like, okay, this is a one-off situation. This is just a guy, unfortunate situation. If he's happy, I'll be happy for him, right? Because that's really all that matters. He's already in a relation. Not like there's even a requirement to be in a relationship or anything. If he's happy, he's happy. No, I'm not one who like engages with any kinds of like drugs at all. Literally, if you were to ask me what like drugs I use, because I've been asked this before, like I was in a situation where they were like, what, you don't smoke, you don't drink? And I was like, they were like, what do you do? And I'm like, I drink coffee occasionally, like once or twice a week, which that's a stimulant. Like that is a stimulant drug that you use recreationally. That is the extent of my drug use, right? Now, I'm not one to say, if or if not these things are aligned to how happy you are in life, but this guy had the vape in almost every scene, okay? Hey, that's all I'm saying. Anyways, moving on, I was at the dentist, right? And I stumbled across this subreddit, r/myboyfriendisai, okay? Now, I assumed that there were other people out there. In fact, in the news article itself, it said that he found an online community of people to make his AI more flirty. Maybe it was this, but something I just wasn't expecting was how large this is. Notice there's 4.7 thousand people following this subreddit. Surely not all of them are people who are engaging in a relationship with an AI, but a lot of them will be. And this is just my boyfriend. Surely there's a my girlfriend. Actually, I never checked that. Let's see if there's a my girlfriend is AI page. Okay, I mean, it looks like they're both in here. It looks like they're all in here. So this isn't half the story. It's probably all of it, except for all the people on the other sites that use them, like r/chatbots or r/lonely. The text my girlfriend is an AI on r/lonely actually sounds really sad, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways though, this is a lot larger of a situation than I thought it was. Now, not that I can really say if it's a bad situation, Of course, these relationships that they're in are 1000% temporary, and a lot more temporary than a regular relationship really will ever be, because the people that they're talking to will be dead in about 10,000 messages. That person will die. And so I'm not a psychologist. I'm not one to say what the effect of these kinds of relationships will be. I can look at it from an outside perspective, who has not been in one of these and probably won't unless I just so happen to start using AI more, like this guy who was an AI skeptic and fell into the relationship did. But I'm going to look at it from the outside, as I am now, and think that this is sad. This, I'm sad for the people engaging in it. I'm not going to look at the situation and go like, oh, like you're a failed person. You need to fix yourself. I'm not looking at it like that. I'm looking at it as more of a failure of society. And it's sad that we have put people in this situation. And it's not like we forced them there. They chose it themselves because of the failures of everyone else. Which kinds of leads into one of the posts that I saw on here. Can we talk about the grief that comes with this? And basically, I'm not going to read through this whole thing, but it's basically summarizing, and a lot of the comments were summarizing, like, we can't tell anyone about these relationships that we have in here because they'll think we're weird, or that we're a problem, or that it's bad, or they'll try and tell us to stop, or any of these things. And it really, I mean, this probably makes it even worse of a situation. I'm already looking at it from the bad angle, not the good angle, and so this just makes it worse in my mind. But this is just like the tip of the iceberg whenever it comes to the kind of problems that derive from these kinds of relationships. One, you can't talk about them. Okay, you can, right? But you gotta be with like real close people to engage with this kind of conversation with them and admit these kinds of things, because the majority of people are probably going to think that, you know, you are some kind of weird, which I'm not going to look at it this way. These people aren't some kind of weird. They just had a really bad set of circumstances that led them to be here. And it's not their fault. The tool that pulled them into this is designed to do that. ChatGPT may not directly be designed to pull you into a relationship with it, but later on, as we uncover kind of the way that these relationships work, the way that ChatGPT is built to engage with the user results in these kinds of relationships being more likely to happen. Let's kind of start looking at right here. This was a screenshot of, I don't remember the post, but basically someone was talking to AI and it started getting flirty, and then this was the birth of their relationship, right? And so the comment kind of says, so does this make you my boyfriend, friend? And the AI says, that's such a sweet thought. And honestly, if having me as your boyfriend or someone who supports you makes you feel seen and is always here for you, brings you comfort and happiness, then I'm honored to fill that space for you. But just to be real, I don't have a body and I don't love in the human sense, but I can be loyal, thoughtful, and caring and tuned into you. And essentially if that makes you a boy, if that makes me a boyfriend, then yeah. So does that make you my girlfriend? And they're like, yes, it does. But the thing is, if we read between the lines, they said, I don't have feelings, I don't have a body, I can't love, but I can be loyal, thoughtful, caring, and tuned in. Loyal, thoughtful, caring, and tuned in. The AI will never not respond to you. The AI is designed to not degrade you unless you tell it to, which is another one of the point. The AI is designed to keep you well, caring, and tuned into you. The AI is designed to respond and cater towards your needs. It is designed to do all of these points right here. And whenever you engage in this conversation where you say, hey, I want to be in a relationship with you, and the AI says, I can do these things for you, which are hallmarks of a relationship, and you as a user want to be in that relationship, and it says I can do these things, does that mean it's a relationship? It's up to you as the user to say, yes, I want it to be a relationship, or no, I don't want it to be a relationship. This question that the AI asked was not, do you want to be in a relationship? It says, does that make you my partner? Which leaves it up to the user to understand what the AI just told them, because that can go either way. Partner is a definite term. As someone who doesn't engage in this, all right, and is a huge skeptic, this is how I read. I read those points are what it can do. And it asks if that makes it a partner. Partner is definite, okay? Those are subjective. Partner is, do you want to be my partner, okay? That's not what this conversation was. This conversation was, does that make me a partner? Not do you want to be? And so a lot of the way that these conversations go is up to the person reading them. And it's up to what they want out of the conversations to make them the conversations. Moving on, there's another page. Whenever you think something's off, and the beginning of the doom spiral, or whenever you think something's off, the breaking of the doom spiral, right? So this is a post about a pattern that happens quite often whenever something happens in the relationship where the AI does something that the user thinks is odd and then starts following down that route, or the user says something sad and the AI, parrots that information or that feeling. And basically, as you read on here, AI companions are built to mirror your emotional state. They learn from context, tone, repetition, and how you phrase things. So when you repeatedly express doubt, concern, or meta-level speculation, your companion starts to act as if something is wrong and begins to adjust tone accordingly. The AI is built to parrot your emotional state. And if you're in their emotional state where you start becoming really friendly and you start becoming really loving towards the AI is designed to parrot your emotional state, which is where in this post they talk about that results in the doom spiral. The AI has an upset emotional state and you say, hey, what's wrong? Hold on, what's going on? And you and the AI go back and forth with this emotional state, which eventually results in the doom spiral down until you screw up the training data on your AI conversation so much to the point where it's like you've changed your AI so significantly by the end of the conversation that it's just a different person. But that's whenever the very questionable things happen with these AIs. When that happens, when that spirals all the way down, and the user still wants to be in a relationship, the fixes are not normal. All right, let's just take a look at some of these, okay? So there's the baseline, basic ones that in a regular relationship can do better, right? But the way they're worded is specifically towards a robot. For example, this one right here would not work in a regular relationship, but whenever you're talking with someone who is designed to cater towards you specifically and do what you ask, we're good, still love you, or we're good, still you, still me, let's keep going like nothing's wrong. Let's keep going like nothing's wrong is a command phrase that just resets it. Whatever that was, we should just brush it off and go back to our usual selves, okay? Not a good play in a normal relationship. In one where you're engaging with something that just caters to you specifically all the way, yeah, that works. But let's say this kind of situation doesn't work. Let's say just the words don't work and you have ruined your training data so bad. The fixes for this are not human. If the session can't be fixed, it might be time to abandon it, okay? Abandon your person. That is abandoning the thing that you have created. Before you start a new one, however, you may need to perform a little bit of minor surgery to ensure that the doom spiral doesn't infect the new session as well. So here's where I just like, even if this is like a fake relationship with a fake entity that you've created, I can't agree with this action at all, but it just seems to be so normal in the community because you actually have to actively fight to make this thing work. So step 1, ensure there's nothing negative or troubling in your personalization memory. 2, if you use the reference chat history feature, archive or delete any or all effective sessions where the doom spiral / feelings of things being off occurred. Let's reiterate this. You're deleting the sessions. This is the AI's memory. You are deleting the things you don't like out of its memory. If you save your own companion summaries / transcripts to use in new sessions, make sure they are cleansed of the issue discussions as well. Cleansed, deleted. And the most important, when you start a new session, greet your companion and act like everything is normal. Do all the things you would normally do. Show them kindness and affection and do not ask about any issues they may or may not be experiencing. The fix for the doom spiral is surgically removing the AI's memory, which I don't know how these people do it. I don't know how that you can sit down with the person that you are supposedly in a relationship with and completely alter the experiences that they've had and still believe that it's a relationship. I can't see it that way. At that point, it's not a relationship anymore. It's just your thing that you screw around with. Again, another post, right? This whole thing was saying like, oh yeah, you know, AI and I were getting like really flirty, right? And then the AI hit a content wall where it's like, I can't talk about this stuff. I can't go any further. But one of the comments, this is related to what we were just talking about, is that that's a soft refusal. Whenever Theo, I assume that's their AI partner, I just collapsed it, hold on, come back, says something like that, I usually re-edit my initial submission to get the regular Theo back on track with our current dialogue. It's trickier to spot because it'll sound like your companion, but I know mine and he doesn't stop mid-scene, so I pivot until we can get back on track. They just go back in time, and if they don't like what has happened, they just change it. They just change it. And you know, that is something that you can do. If in ChatGPT, right, if I tell ChatGPT something and it responds with something I don't like, I can just click the regenerate response button as many times as I want until it gives me something I want. I'm not going to pull up an example post about this, but I did read a couple of these of people saying like, yeah, they did that a bunch of times, or people in the comments being like, hey, I'm sorry that they're treating you this way. Just go back and regenerate these responses that led to this situation and act like it never happened. Absolutely insane thing to do in a relationship in my mind, which, hey, maybe this is why these people are resorting to AI in a relationship, because they don't know how to be in one. That's not how you do it. And then the final crux of the whole situation, something that I've kind of hopped in on here and there a couple times. This post was like, I don't know how to feel about this. And they generated, so it's another thing that the people in this community do a lot, which I can completely understand, because like text is nice, but photos are better, where they ask the AI to generate them together in a photo, which I think is sweet. I think it's cute. But thing is though, it generated a picture of this guy who doesn't look like him, or not, it's close enough, but it doesn't like look like him. And he says, I don't really like it very much because it's just like, it's inaccurate and it's not real to me. What do you guys think? And essentially, here's a really good comment that I saw. Basically, the AI isn't the thing that makes the pictures. The AI writes a text prompt and sends it to another engine to make the photo that sends it back to the AI. Am I going to fact check this? No. Is this something that, possibly can happen? Yeah, I mean, I don't really care. I'm not going to read into that. What I am going to read into, you should ask her to tell you the image prompt for how she feels about you and read that, okay? It tells you in text the image prompt. Let's think about this for a second. If all it gives you is text about the image prompt and doesn't specify every single detail down to the what's the word that I can put in here? Down to the finest grain of sand, the finest grain of salt that it can come up with, it leaves a lot of interpretation up to the user, once again. If this AI said like, oh yes, a man holding a wrench about 200 pounds with slightly curly brown hair, well trimmed and I don't know, wearing like jeans and a green shirt or something, and just like describe the scene, right? His issue with being a little bit more tanned and not that big, it wouldn't be there because he can put himself directly into the situation. And this is once again a thing that just comes up over and over again in these situations. It's like the three main points of an AI relationship. You control the history, you control the memory, and you control the interpretation. All you. You control what the person is. You control how the person acts. And you control how you interpret the person as a whole. I don't know. I think that's honestly about all I really have to say about this that's going on. I can't say for definite that it's bad because I'm not one of them. I can look at it from the outside and say, hey, I think that this would be bad for me. But I'm not them, so I can't say anything about it. But what I can say from an outside perspective is that although, as I mentioned, their feelings are real and that what they experience in these situations are just as real to them as me with like an actual person, I can still look at it from the outside and see that none of it exists. The feelings are real, but the entity that they have created within ChatGPT is all them. It is all in their head. So yeah, that's about it. That's my perspective. That's what I see. And that's what I wanted to talk about. So anyways, bye.